You don't do what you think you should do, you do what you actually value doing. If the person sees a motive for training, they'll train. I don't feel anxious now because there's nothing missing. I know exactly what I need to do. I didn't have any concrete, tangible steps of what exactly was I going to do to make the $1 million. The thing that you perceive as most missing is going to drive what you perceive as valuable.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Andy Campbell at Winning Within. Welcome, Andy, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to be here.
So, in terms of people's mindset, where would you say that positive and negative emotions play a part in having a mindset that is as conducive as possible to achieving a particular goal?
Well, I find that your positive and negative emotions are there for a reason, so they're there for a purpose, and I think they're commonly misunderstood. So in terms of like achieving a goal, I understand them as feedback. So if I've got a goal that I'm working towards and I'm having like a positive emotion about it, then I see that as feedback as I'm not really 100% clear on the goal. I'm seeing more positives of achieving the goal than negatives. And ultimately, every goal is going to have both sides because reality's got positive and negative. And so if I'm working towards a goal where I'm feeling a little bit up and positive about it, then I'm overlooking certain steps that I need to take that I'm not aware of. Or if I'm setting up a goal and I'm feeling kind of anxious about it, then that's also kind of a feedback that there's something that I'm overlooking in the goal. And so like the positive and negative emotions are letting me know that part of the goal is unconscious. So for example, if I set a goal and I'm kind of objective about it and I can see, okay, it's going to give me this return and it's going to cost this time and energy and focus and money, and this is the outcome I'm going to get, and I'm objective on that, then okay, I can see all of the steps and there's no emotion to that. It's just, if I do this, I get this. But if I've got a positive emotion about it, I'm really excited about it, I'm probably overlooking the work I need to do to achieve it. And if I'm feeling down about it, I'm probably overlooking some of the reward that I need to achieve it. So I see the positive or negative emotion is letting me know that I'm missing details in my goal.
Great. I would like to say something for those listening, because in the mainstream way of thinking, it's plausible that you might think, wait, hang on a minute, Andy, you just said that a positive emotion means that I'm not conscious. It sounds like you're saying that it's not actually conducive to achieving that goal. We tend to learn that you want to feel positive about your goal. So why might it be more conducive to achieving your goal to have a balanced ratio of positive and negative emotions and to be aware of both sides of the goal, both the good and bad?
It's interesting. Like the first thing that comes to mind is a example from my life. So I remember it was like a mindset NLP kind of seminar I attended one time, and we did this exercise where we set a goal that we want to achieve. And when I was setting the goal, I was kind of excited about it, but then in the back of my mind, I felt this anxiety around it, and I was anxious, am I going to be able to do this? And so at the time, I didn't really understand it, but then when I looked more and more into it, learned more and more about how my mind works and emotions work and what they're trying to tell me, I realized that I was excited about it consciously, but in the back of my mind, that anxiety was there because I knew at some level I had overlooked certain steps that I need to achieve that goal. And so I set a goal and I felt a little bit anxious about it because the anxiety was the part of me that knew I was overlooking a couple of steps. And so that isn't just a random, I'm feeling anxious. It's there because part of me knows that there's something missing in my plan. And so then the feedback that I kind of learned from it is, if I'm setting a goal and I'm feeling anxious, great. It's there to let me know that I'm overlooking something. Part of me knows that. It's trying to let me know that through the feeling of anxiousness. And then it's my job to go and look at my goal and look at, okay, what am I overlooking here? Because there's an anxiety. It's there because there's content that I'm overlooking. Let's go find what it is I'm overlooking, kind of thing.
Mhm. For the everyday listener, I think for someone, yeah, for the everyday listener, um, one might think, but doesn't the anxiety mean that I'm just afraid and I need to expand my comfort zone, something like that?
Well, it can mean that, because if you're setting a goal for yourself and you're feeling anxious, if you trace it down, the anxiety isn't coming from a vague and general, I'm doing something outside my comfort zone. It's going to come from something very specific. And if you take the time to trace it back and look at where exactly is that anxiety coming from, for example, in my example, in that seminar, I set myself a goal and I said, well, I'm going to make $1 million by the time I'm this particular age. And I had anxiety in the back of my mind. I was excited, etc., but I was kind of anxious. And so when I looked at it, I didn't have any concrete, tangible steps of what exactly was I going to do to make the $1 million. I just set that goal and put it into the universe in hopes that it comes true. And so the anxiety is there to let me know you don't have any steps to follow. But if I instead went and broke it down and I looked at what exactly do I need to achieve $1 million, well, I need to put out this amount of service to this amount of people and charge this amount of money, and go and find these people to serve. And I look at all the steps and I take care of all the steps. I make sure everything is detailed. Then I've got everything in front of me. I know I need to serve these amount of people, charge them this amount of money, this amount of time. Everything's taken care of. I don't feel anxious now because there's nothing missing. I know exactly what I need to do. Now it's just do the work and you get the money. And so when you got all the details in your mind, there's no anxiety because there's nothing that's missing from that. But if you're vaguely setting a goal of $1 million and you don't have any idea how you're going to do it, the anxiety is let you know that you're probably overlooking something. You're feeling anxious because there's something that's not part of your equation here that's not being taken into consideration.
Okay, so let's say someone says, I want to lose some weight, and they come to you and they're like, hey, Andy, I want to lose some weight and I can't. I've been trying, and I go to the gym, and then, I'm there for 2 weeks, and then I come back and I eat and I put on weight again. It's same thing all the time. What would you say to this person?
Well, it's an interesting one. I used to work at a gym. I was in the sales role, so people would come in and they would talk to me about losing weight, and I'd set them up with a personal trainer, and they'd go and do their program. And so I talked to like hundreds of people in that position, and so it's interesting because I got a first-hand experience of that question. And what I found was there was different types of people that would come in. One type of person, they would come in, and I would always ask them, "How was your day?" And the reason I want to ask them, how is your day, is because they're automatically going to tell me in answer to that question what's important to them. And so if we break that down and make it really detailed, what does it mean? It means if I ask someone completely different, how was your week, they're going to tell me a completely different thing to you. And so essentially it just gives me data about what's important to you. And so you put time and focus into those things. And then when I was working at that personal training job, I'd ask people that question because they would automatically tell me, like, if I have someone that comes in and they're like, oh, I took the kids to school this morning, and then I before that I did the kids' lunches, and then I was like, I went to the shopping center and I was looking at some clothes for my kids. Then it tells me, okay, their values are the kids. All they've told me about in the 30 seconds is their kids. Someone else comes in and they're saying, well, I want to lose weight, but I'm doing this with my business. I've only got this amount of time. I did this deal this week and I did that this week. Then all they're telling me about is their business. I know the business is that person's value. And so it's kind of like, if you ask someone how their day is, they're automatically going to tell you what's valuable to them. and they'll just tell you straight off the bat, but people won't kind of recognize them. They'll just talk and talk and talk about what they think is valuable. You might think you might not think kids are valuable in your world. You're nothing to do with kids, but they'll just talk about kids for 30 seconds if that's the value. And so then that kind of tells me, okay, that's what's important to them. And so then that gives me some insight. Are they going to achieve in their training program? Because some people will come in and they'll love training, and they're there because they love training, and they talk about training. I did CrossFit, and then I tried weights at the gym, and now I want to try this. Okay, in my mind, yep, you're going to do the training. There's no question, because you're trying all that. You've got a high value in training. Someone else comes in, and they're like, well, I just broke up with my partner, and now I want to get back into training. Okay, great. They've got a motive for training. They're here because they broke up, and now they want to get back into shape, and they've got a motive for training. Someone else comes in. Oh, I kind of want to train because I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I've tried this and it hasn't worked. I tried that and it hasn't worked. And I kind of want to do it because my friend thinks that I should lose weight. She thinks I'm a little bit too overweight, you know. That person's not going to do the training. They don't value it. They're telling me straight away that they're doing it because their friend told them to do it. They've tried it in the past, it hasn't worked for them, so they've got no motive on doing it, and they'll think about it every now and then, and they'll try and redo it. So that's the first thing I look at for that question. It's a bit of a rabbit hole, that question, for whatever reason, but you're looking at people's actions, and are they actually taking action on it? And then if they're not, like the last person, then something needs to change mentally before they're going to take the actions physically, going to the gym.
Okay, so can I be someone else now, and I pretend I'm like a different person? All right, so I'm Wendy. Hey, Andy.
Hi, Wendy.
Hey. So yeah, I've been trying to go to the gym, but school gets in the way. You know, I'm quite busy with my studies, and you know, I want to get to the gym because summer's coming up, but I don't know, I'm also distracted with friends and stuff, and I'm seeing a guy, and he's great. And yeah, I don't know. I'm also a little bit fed up. Like, I'm not fully happy when I see myself in the mirror. I want to get rid of this belly fat. And yeah, I don't know. I see some girls that look like skinny and stuff, and I get a bit jealous.
Okay. So then with Wendy, it's like, have you tried losing weight in the past, Wendy?
Wait, maybe it would be better if I put on a hat. Skater Wendy right now.
Oh, hey, Skater Wendy.
Hey,
Wendy, how long has it been a goal for you to lose weight?
about 2 months.
And have you been trying different things in the 2 months, or what have you been up to?
I mostly go to the treadmill, and I do, yeah, I do a little bit of weights, but I'm not sure exactly how to do the movements. I'm a little bit shy, a little bit, yeah, insecure. So mostly the running on the treadmill I've been doing.
Okay. And you said 2 weeks ago?
I actually forgot.
Or you said 2 months ago?
For 2 months, I've been
2 months.
wanting to do I've been wanting to go to the gym and lose weight. Yeah. And I started, let's say, a week ago.
Started on the treadmill a week ago?
Yeah, started going to the gym and then started doing the treadmill. And that was a week ago.
And how many times have you done the treadmill in the week?
About 3 times.
Okay. So then if you've done the treadmill 3 times and you're gone to try weights, but you're a bit shy on the weights, and so you haven't followed through on the weights?
Yeah.
Okay. So then if you showed up 3 times at the gym, then obviously you've got some kind of value on doing it because you're putting yourself there. So that's the first step, is you're showing up to it, which a lot of people will kind of overlook. Because some people will come in and I'll talk to them and they'll tell me that they want to do it, but they've never gone in the gym before. But you've already come in 3 times this week, so it shows me that it's important and you keep coming back to it. So for you, it sounds like it's more you're wanting to learn how to do the weights, and you're wanting a program and maybe someone to work with. And what's the reason that you're wanting to lose the weight, Wendy?
Um, well, if I'm being really honest, this guy that I'm seeing, I kind of feel like, he sees other girls and I want him, to want me. So I want to get a bit of a bigger ass. I want to, yeah, just get a nice tummy. So when he sees me in summer, you know, he knows who, uh, that he wants me.
Okay, sounds like a plan, Wendy. And I've got to ask you a specific question, and it might be a bit strange, but when was the first time you had this goal come into your mind?
6 months ago when I met him.
Okay, and you mentioned that you started training at the start of this week. So what happened at the start of this week that you actually started showing up to the gym 3 times a week, but 6 months ago nothing was going on?
Yeah. So I texted him, and usually he texts back quicker. And I saw on Instagram there was a story, there was a dog, and I know he doesn't have a dog. I feel like it's probably with a girl. So I thought, you know, I got jealous and I got insecure. And so now, yeah, that's why I started last week.
Okay. So then, uh, if we showed you what you need to do to get those specific goals around the weight loss and the building the booty, is that what you're looking for? The showing you how to do it and someone to do it with you, or what do you need
Yeah,
there?
yeah, some guidance, especially at first, so that I know that I want to do it. I want to do it well, the exercises.
Okay. So, um, if I jump out of the frame with Wendy and we kind of talk about Wendy, you can see that Wendy in the last week has all of a sudden come to the gym 3 times, which tells us that something's happened in her life because her behavior's changed. And then when we go and look at what happened, she is sensing a threat on her boyfriend and she needs to get in the gym. And now she's shown up 3 times. So she's likely got a high value on the relationship, which means the fear of loss of the relationship is then making her go to the gym because she doesn't want to lose the guy, right? And so it sounds like, and I know we just kind of made Wendy up on the spot, but it sounds like for Wendy, it's like she can see something directly connected to her, what seems to be valuable to her, the relationship. And it sounds like she's got a strong motive to show up to the gym. So for someone like her, as long as that motive is there, she's going to show up and train. But let's say, for example, the next week she finds out that the dog was the parent's dog and he's not seeing a girl, and that kind of calms down, she might then stop training because she senses that, oh, it's fine, my boyfriend's not interested in other girls, and that motivation drops off. So, um, long-winded way to answer the question, but um, if the person sees a motive for training, they'll train, and if they don't have a motive for it, they're not going to train. And so, if they have a motive, great. If they don't have a motive, then they need to create one, and you can do that by finding out what their values are. So in that conversation with that made up Wendy, she's got a value on the relationship, and so then if the training was to drop off, we could re-establish a motive for the training by finding how the training would benefit her relationship. And if she sees that it does benefit the relationship, every action that she's taking is based on what's important to her. So if she can see a bunch of reasons how the training helps her relationship, then she'll start the training and she'll keep going with the training. And so roundabout way and demo of showing that if you can see something is going to help you achieve what's important, you're consistent with your actions. But if you do it on a motivation and it's not really the thing that's important, you'll do it once or twice and then you won't come back to it, kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Can we do some more case studies?
Yeah. Yep.
Great. I'll get some more
I'm
hats.
open to it.
So I'm Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, Andy. Thanks for meeting me. I yeah, so it's about my wife. I want a better relationship with her. I feel like we've been little bit like stale, the relationship. It's like we've been together for 9 years now, and it's a little gets a little boring now. Like I love her, but she's our relationship is a little, yeah, just lacking excitement, and I find that it's causing resentment. Like she's resenting me because I'm spending a lot of time with my friends because it's like more I just having a better time with them, and then there's a whole thing. So yeah, I'd really like to just have a better relationship with her.
Okay. And so the main thing you said with your relationship is you feel it's a little bit stale. You said there's some resentment, and then you're finding yourself spending time elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And the outcome for you is what specifically you'd like to spend more time in the relationship or move on from the
So it's
relationship?
actually, yeah, the sex. The
Mhm.
sex. We used to have sex differently. When we first met, it was really exciting. It was different, and now it's a little bit like a chore.
It's interesting because it's a pattern in a lot of relationships. As you get to know someone, it's quite common because you're doing the same thing over and over, and you kind of become used to it, and so it's quite a common thing in relationships where it can then become boring. And so there's a few things that we can look at. Ultimately, the main one I want to come back to again is what's most important to Sam. Because the degree that you're attracted to your partner, believe it or not, is an internal thing. It's a perception thing. It's in your mind. It's not really anything about her. It's partly about her, but a lot of it is internally in your own mind because you'll see your partner not directly as her, but you'll see it through your perception of her. And so you'll have ideas and thoughts about her, but you won't know her directly. So, for example, you'll think, I like this thing that she did. I don't like this thing that she did. And so that's not the thing that she did directly. It's your thought about the thing that she did. So you can notice there's a gap between her, you, and then there's this gap where you think something's good, think something's bad, and that's your mind that's deciding that's a good thing, that's a bad thing. And so the mind is between you and her, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah.
So you're relating to her through your mind. And your mind is simply the thing that says, oh, I really like that. Oh, I don't like that. And so that's just the nature of the relationship, right? You've got you, you've got her, and then you've got your mind, which is kind of like a computer, right? If I want to go on the internet, I need my phone or my computer. So your mind is like the computer, allows you to access the person. So you need a mind to access the relationship. So then you can think of it as if you're now not enjoying the experience of the relationship, you can think of it in the analogy of your computer or your phone. Like, let's say, for example, you're playing a game on your computer and all of a sudden you press something on the settings and it zooms right in and you can't really see the game properly because it's too zoomed in. You'd need to zoom out on the game interface to be able to enjoy the game again, to get the full experience, because otherwise you can't see anything. You're too zoomed in on the map. And so we can use that as an analogy for the relationship. So a lot of people think, oh, it's the game that's the problem. But it's not the game. If you went to the developer and said, hey, your game is a problem, the game's not the problem. It's the fact that your computer zoomed in on the map and you've got a bug on the computer kind of thing. So you need to fix the accessing system, which is your mind in the relationship. Using that analogy, what it takes it back to is the mind is the accessing system with the relationship. And so basically what it means is if we can go and ask questions to reset that computer, reboot the computer, we can then enjoy the game again. And so the same thing with the relationship. We need to reset, reboot our mind so we can enjoy the game again. Because the same person standing there, it's just our accessing system needs a control or delete on it for us to be able to re-access the game and start playing the game again. It's the same thing in the relationship. And the way that we do it is, if you think about when you first got into that relationship, the reason that you even were interested in it is because when you saw that individual, in your mind, it was helping you achieve what's important in your life. And hanging out with that person helped you achieve what's important. And spending time with that person helped you achieve what's important. And so you went and did it. But then slowly over time, other things come up that you see are more important. And so you put your time into the other things and you won't really do the relationship as much.
When you said that, it didn't really quite, because I got together with her. Just I found her attractive initially, and then I found that our personalities are complementary, that we vibe together. So I didn't really it didn't really serve. That's not really how I was thinking of it.
Yours and her personalities vibe together, and that's what you enjoyed?
Yeah. I think she's attractive both physically and mentally, and then we vibe. It just feels like we connect.
Okay. And so then when you were spending time with her and you were both vibing and connecting, at that time, that was something that you enjoyed doing, and so you hung out with her more?
Yeah.
Okay. And then now you find that vibe's dropped off a bit, and so you're spending less time with her and not enjoying the time as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It's mostly, for some reason, mostly the sex. We hang out otherwise, but yeah, when we hang out, it's like it's okay, but the sex is not what it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then if you look at when you guys first got together, the sex, what did it represent, and what did you get out of it then that you're not getting out of it now?
What did it represent? Yeah, it represented that it was just a match. I felt like it was a match. So it's like my energy and her energy, our sexual energy. I felt initially, like I knew before we even had sex that we would have good sex. And yeah, I felt like our energies were like complementary. And then when we had sex, it was like, oh yeah, it is. They are.
What's interesting is, again, I'll come back to the values that I mentioned before with the other two case studies. So this girl in this moment, she's doing things that are kind of you're seeing are valuable. So she'll dress a certain way that you like, that you value, and that'll turn you on. Or she'll talk about topics that you value, and that'll turn you on. So she's doing certain behaviors that are in your mind helping, that you can see that they're helping you get something that's valuable. And then as you're describing the relationship, you described kind of the energies changed over time. And so with the sex drive turns on and off based on values. So if you see the things that she's doing are helping you get what's important, your sex drive will go up. And if you see certain behaviors that she does, they might kind of challenge your values, or not into that, they'll drive the sex drive down, and you'll be turned off it. And so if I was working with Sam, I'd look at, okay, what are the specific things that were meeting his values, that were turning on the sex drive, and now she's doing certain behaviors and they're turning off the sex drive. And then we would identify those behaviors, and I'd take him through a series of questions and exercises to help him see those behaviors in a different light. Yeah, there's different approaches to it, but if you want to increase attraction's coming from primarily from the brain. If someone does something that you see meets your values, you're attracted to it. And if they go and dress in a way that you think is ugly or they say things that kind of you dislike, then it turns off the attraction. So the main attraction is in your brain. Why not go to the source of it? Because the source of it is your mind that you're interacting with the relationship through.
So you're saying it's about reinterpreting the things that that go, when you say go against my values, you mean like stuff I don't like? Or
Yeah. So I can give you an example which might help to map it out a little bit. I worked with this guy and he was saying, well, I'm not attracted to my partner anymore. And it was a similar thing, right? It was a sexual thing. And so we went and we looked at, I asked him a few questions of what's happening with the relationship, et cetera, et cetera. Essentially what we found was between the two of them, they set like an income goal. And okay, we want to make this amount of money in this time. And the guy said, well, I'm working this job, I'm going to make this amount, and you're doing a part-time job. You need to do an extra day in the part-time job to hit your quota. So we both make this amount and hit this financial goal. And that was the agreement. And then what he saw in his eyes was she was tired. She didn't want to go to work. She didn't want to work the extra day. She was complaining about it. And in his mind, he saw she's whinging all the time. She's not doing the thing that we agreed upon. She doesn't have any energy. He saw all these things. And in his mind, he's like, lazy. She's lazy. It's a turn off. I'm not attracted to her. I'm having trouble trying to have sex with her. It's not appealing. And so what we did was we need to understand the girl and why she's behaving that way. And if we can understand it, then we can do something about it. And so what we realized after asking him a bunch of questions was she was doing that extra work days in that part-time job, not because she wanted to do the work. She hated the work. It drained her. She hated being there. The only reason she was doing it was for the relationship, because she wanted to be in the relationship with the guy. And so when he noticed that she was doing all these things that she hates to try and stay in the relationship with him, he didn't know that initially. He was just judging her for being lazy. Once he understood that, he realized she's not lazy. She's actually doing everything she can to make this relationship work, but she's hating the way that she's going about it. So now he understood it's not her being lazy in the relationship. It's her doing what she can with the resources that she has to make it work. But we never actually sat down and, do you enjoy this work? Do you want to do this? You don't have any energy. You hate going to work. Let's go find another way for you to do it. So once they interpreted that the job was the issue, she hates the work, she doesn't want to do it, they then both worked out another way for her to earn money. And then she found a different job. And now she can't wait to do the job because she actually enjoys the job. And now she's showing up, she's making money, there's no issue. And so in that example, he was coming and thinking, well, she needs to concentrate more on her work. She needs to do meditation so she can concentrate. She needs to increase her focus. And all the problems was her, and she's lazy, etc. But the reality was she hated the job, so she's got no energy to do the job, and she was doing it for the relationship. So once he understood what was actually going on, she found a new job. She does something she loves. All of a sudden, now they're both working towards the goal. He's no longer judging her. He's understanding why she's doing what she's doing. And now he finds her attractive again because that she's working towards the goal that they set for themselves in the relationship. And now there's no issue with the sex because they're both working towards something that's meaningful for the two of them, and that's attractive. And now they're both attracted to each other again.
right. So when your client saw that she was his partner, his girlfriend was supporting the things that he actually important, intrinsically important to him, suddenly his sex drive increased.
Yeah, his perception moved from she's lazy, she doesn't want to do the thing we agreed upon, she's only doing 3 days a week, not 4. She needs to concentrate more. All these labels and judgments on her, and it moved from an understanding, oh, it's not about her being lazy. She's hating the job. She's only doing it for the relationship. She loves the relationship so much. She's sacrificing all this stuff for it. Once he had that insight, he realized that I need to sit down with her and we can find another strategy for her to make money. The relationship is so valuable that she's putting herself through this thing that she hates to make the money to keep the relationship. So then they identified the problem. Once they identified the problem, they found another way for her to make money. She got a new job, And now he's seeing her as she's energized, she loves the job, she's doing it because she wants to meet this financial goal with me. That's attractive to him because she's working towards the financial goal, and all of a sudden it's attractive again. Sex drive comes back.
So sex drive it sounds like it's a uh like a representation of the harmony. It's like a representation of the harmony of the relationship as a whole.
Yeah, it's like if you're looking at the partner in an emotional lens and you're angry or resentful, you're not seeing the partner as they are. You've got a distorted view of them. And so if you've got resentment and anger, sex drive's going to go down because you're not actually seeing them as they are. But if you were to go and work on your mindset and your perception, and you were to understand why they're doing the behaviors that they're doing, like what this guy did, and realize that it was her work, and understand why she's behaving in that way, you can change the emotional lens into a understanding lens. And when you understand someone and why they're doing what they're doing, the emotion comes out of it, and now you appreciate them. Because previously I anger at them, I want to change them, I'm resentful to them, no attraction. And then once you see them clearly, oh wow, I understand them, I now know why they're doing it, and I'm attracted to them again. Because the reality was they're both in each other's life. What does it tell us? It tells us there's a value of having each other in the life. And so the value of the relationship is not a question because they're both doing it. If you're doing it, it's valuable. But if you're doing it and you're losing energy and you're upset, it's a misunderstanding problem. It's not a relationship problem because the relationship is still going ahead, if that makes sense.
Right. Hmm. And what if yeah, all right. So what if as Sam I change my perception of my wife and I see that the things she's doing that I thought were not supporting me, I see that they are. What if she doesn't do any of this stuff?
Your question is like, if she doesn't change her perspective, but you change yours?
Yeah.
When you change your perspective and you're got a challenge of, I'm not turned on by her, there's no sex drive. If you change your perspective of her, all of a sudden you've got a sex drive because your perception is different. You move from, oh, I wouldn't want to do anything with this girl, she's lazy, she's this, that, and the other, no sex drive. Change your perspective, see it from a different angle, understand her. Oh, wow, now I'm attracted to her again. So you just shifted because you worked on your mindset. When you do that, the energy and the dynamic between the two of you shifts. Because if you all of a sudden you're like this, I think of it like two rams butting heads. The rams are angry, they want to beat each other up, and they're doing this. Now, if one of those rams all of a sudden does work on their mindset and they change their perspective and they're no longer angry at this other ram, they drop the energy. They're no longer butting heads. This ram's got nothing to butt up against because the energy's dropped. So this person also stops butting up against this person. So it takes one ram to do the work to drop the energy. There's nothing to push up against because there's no energy to push up against. So once that energy shifts, both people in that dynamic are now doing a different behavior because there's no one to fight against because this person's not angry. They're not interested in fighting anymore.
All right. No, I should give her half the bill. Then she should be paying for half if I'm the one dropping. But then we're
You
not
could
butting
put it,
heads anymore.
you could put it that way. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Hmm. Interesting. What about the philosophy of this type of mindset? Because it sounds so different to the typical mindset advice, discipline, uncover your why, etc. Good advice, but like this sounds like it's coming from a different paradigm. So where would you say, where does that meaning come from? Why do some people value exercise and some people value reading or video games or whatever, flowers, whatever?
Mm. Yeah, it's an interesting question. The way I understand it is because everyone's got different values, right? Some people are doing the exercise, some people are doing the reading. If you really break it down, the value comes from the person's perception of whatever they perceive as most missing. So if you were to go and, I guess, meet someone that's making a lot of money, and you say, oh, have you always made a lot of money? If they've got a high value on making money and they're a first generation entrepreneur or first generation lot of wealth, there's going to be a void, a perception of missing money that's going to drive the value on making money. So if you have someone and they both have the same amount of money, that one of them doesn't really mind, they don't have much money, they're probably not going to have a high value in making money. You got another person who's got the same amount of money, but they've got a lot of pain associated, and maybe they're embarrassed with not being able to afford things, and they've got all these pains associated with not having money. That person's got a void on money, and they've got a pain associated, and it's missing, and I'm frustrated, I'm angry. And so the thing that you perceive as most missing is going to drive what you perceive as valuable. And so if you're really, really lonely and you're feeling that you're missing companionship, you'll probably value going and finding a relationship. You'll probably go find a relationship. If you don't have money and that's painful enough, you'll go find money. If you grew up and you were a kid and you always felt like you weren't good enough at sports, then you might all of a sudden become really focused on how do I get good at sports. And so the meaning comes from whatever you perceive as most missing in your life, in your mind becomes most important and most valuable. And so because it's missing, you perceive it as valuable because it's scarce in your mind, and then you value it. And so you start putting time and focus and energy into it. And so it's kind of like whatever you perceive as most missing becomes most important in your life.
Well, like a like a thirst. It sounds like when you're born with, and you're not given enough water, so you're like super, super thirsty, and then that thirst for that particular water or whatever then stays with you for life and guides your entire behavior. Like you're always looking for that water.
100%. Like if you take you right now and your value system and what's important to you, and I drop you in the desert and there's no water, all of a sudden water becomes the highest value because that's what you perceive as most missing. Or if you get into a car accident and all of a sudden you're critically injured, you're stopping doing the podcasts and you're stopping doing the singing, and you're spending time on going to the doctor and getting, an emergency response, because that becomes the biggest void. I need to get my health back before I can get back into the singing and stuff.
So you can have
whatever's
temporary,
missing.
right? Yeah, you can have
Yeah, you
temporary
can have
voids.
temporary. Yeah, or you can
Right.
have lifelong ones.
And once the temporary one has been filled, your lifelong ones that are usually there come back.
Yeah, yeah, they'll kind of like they'll oscillate around. So this is a lot of times you'll see yo-yoing in yo-yo diets, yo-yo money. Oh, I make a lot of money, then I don't make enough money, and it's because of these voids that people have. They have 1 month and they can afford everything. I don't need to worry about making money, and in the next month, all of a sudden, no, I can't afford this, this, and this. They'll go and concentrate on making money, and they'll have a big month that month. All of a sudden, my money's up. I don't have to worry about the money, and then they won't worry about it. They won't put time into it, and it'll go down again. So it creates this yo-yo. Same thing in your training. If you feel like in your mind, I'm really overweight, you'll put a lot of focus onto the training, and you'll get to the point in your mind that is no longer overweight. The moment you tip that scale where you classify yourself as not overweight, you'll stop putting focus into working out because you don't need to, and then you'll put the weight back on. You'll go back to the previous behavior.
Right. Interesting. At this point, we went from talking about how values can oscillate around to another question about values. If all our behavior is driven by values, what does it mean to make a mistake? Yeah, like mistakes as well. Like we think like make mistakes, but then through that way of thinking, then surely there would be you wouldn't ever be making a mistake, right? If because if it sounds like we're kind of like a computer, and then we're just programmed to seek for, like, let's say it was like sport and reading, and then we're always looking for that. So then surely if we make a mistake, is that really a mistake, or is that the computer going in another direction because it's strategically better to get the sport and the reading?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it's like you've got your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. And so in the moment when you're believing that you made a mistake, unconsciously, you're automatically doing the behavior that's most valuable to you. You don't even have to worry about it. It's unconscious. People just spontaneously do what's important, right? You don't have to remind them, they just do it. And so if you're automatically, spontaneously doing what's important and you think you made a mistake, then there's a mismatch there because I'm automatically doing what's important, but then I consciously think I made a mistake. So then what happens is your values, what's actually important to you, are always unconscious because you automatically just do them. And they're sometimes conscious, but consciously, our mind is kind of filled with people that we admire, look up to in our lives. So people that we see as an authority. So it might be like when you grow up, it's like your parents. You look at your parents, what should I do today? Then you get older, and then it's like your teachers at school, your friends at school, and then it becomes like a mentor or someone in your industry that you look up to, and you think, well, they're more advanced than me, and so you look up to them. And then it's kind of a weird thing that happens because if it's like you're in a certain industry and you look up to someone in that industry and they say, well, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, you'll find yourself thinking, oh, I need to do this and this based on what they think instead of what is actually important to you. And then this is where the mismatch comes in because it's like in that moment, you think that they know more than you or they're more advanced than you. And so what you do is their opinion becomes more important than your own opinion in your own mind. And so instead of doing the thing that you automatically value, instead of doing that, you'll try and do the thing that they say you should do because their opinion's more important than yours. And so you attempt to do the thing that they think you should do. And then because you don't actually value on it, you'll feel like I can't concentrate, I can't focus on this, I've got ADHD, you'll go get medication, etc. But the reality is you don't actually value that. You're doing it because this person said it and you think they know more than you. And so you're trying to focus on this, you put a lot of energy into it, you can't stay focused on it, you keep coming back to this thing. And so at the end of the day, you'll think, oh, I made a mistake on this, I can't focus on this. But the reality is, this is what you actually value, this is what you're doing, this is what you think you should value, but you don't do what you think you should do, you do what you actually value doing. And so there's a mismatch in our mind sometimes.
Right. So the admiration we have for others can influence our behavior, and then let's say we'll do a study because this person thought it would be good. So our actual behavior can be directed towards what the admired person would approve of, but then our attention is still controlled by those drives.
By what's actually valuable. Yeah.
Right.
Because what's actually valuable will dictate what you pay attention to, but you'll try to do the thing that the person you look up to says is important. You'll try it, but you might do it, but you won't be consistent with it. Like you might look up to an influencer and they might say, hey, you need to post every day for a month. You might do it for 3 days and you'll give up on it because you don't really value it, but momentarily you're in the idea of, well, they think I should do it, so you'll do it. But then if you take an influencer that loves posting every day, they don't need to be reminded to post. They're automatically doing it because that's the value in itself.
Mm. So see what works for you, what genuinely just feels right. It sounds like yeah, we just have like an internal compass, and if we just pay attention to it and see what what's obvious, basically, what the compass is saying, yes, obviously this, then do that. And if the compass is like the thing is kind of going around or whatever, and it's not clear, and you're like, oh, I got ADHD, I can't focus or whatever, then that's your compass saying this is not for you. Do something else. What would you say to someone who's like in a study right now, studying at university, and forces himself or herself to do the study and is telling him or herself, if I'm being honest, I don't love it. No, but, sometimes you got to do what you don't like so that you can eventually do something you do like.
If they're doing the thing, and like I can kind of relate to my own experience. So I studied sports journalism for 3 years, and then I haven't done anything with that. I'm now in the psychology, human behavior area. I don't do anything to do with sports journalism. But it's like at the time, if I looked at the behavior was demonstrating that I was doing the thing, I was showing up, which meant, okay, there's a value in it. But I would always submit my exams and like my homework and stuff at the last minute. And so I'd put it off, and then the last minute, 2 minutes left. I remember there's 2 minutes left on this online submission, and I'd submit it with like 2 minutes left. So the behavior tells us that it's a means to an end, and I don't love the thing in itself. So, for example, if I'm studying a subject, and the moment I get the homework, I can't wait to study that, then okay, the subject itself is the value, because it's like I can't wait to research it and learn about it. But if I'm doing the actual degree, but I'm submitting the thing at the last minute before the link to submit it disappears, that tells me that I'm doing it as a means to an end to get somewhere. And so a lot of people, they're doing a degree because they believe if I get the degree, then I can get into this and I'll make a certain amount of money. If I get the degree, then I can get this opportunity. And so if you're doing it as a means to an end, then it makes sense just to notice your behavior and notice that, okay, I'm not doing it for the love of it, but I'm doing it to get something out of it. And then go and work out, what am I getting out of doing it? And then once you know what you're getting out of doing it, you can find the actual value that's driving the behavior. And then once you know the value that's driving the behavior, then you can then kind of use that to change your behavior with doing the task, if that makes sense. So let's say, for example, you're doing it to make money, or you're doing it because it's going to get you into this certain area or field that you want to get into. Then you can do that linking again, where you're, okay, I'm showing up, I'm doing the degree. So then you can link the actual subjects to the things that you value. So then you're inspired to do the subject. But to kind of clarify, if you're doing the course, it's because you're getting something out of it. It's a means to an end. If you're doing the course and you can't wait to study it, it's the thing itself is a value.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So if you're doing it and you're loving studying, nothing to change. And if you're not loving it, then find out what the most important things in your life are and connect it to that. All right. Right.
Yeah, connect the different subjects to that. Because if you can be in 3 places. 1, you're studying it and you love it and you can't wait to do it. That's 1. 2, you're studying it, but you submit things at the last minute. That's 2. And 3, you're not even entering the course because it's irrelevant to you. And so if you're in number 2, where you're actually doing the thing, but you're doing it last minute, it means the actual subject or the actual homework task, you can't see how it helps you get your values, and so you'll put it off. But the getting the degree itself is a value. So it could be a status thing, it could be a making money thing. So if you're in that situation, you want to go down to the detail of, how is this particular course or this particular subject helping me achieve my values? And if you find a link to that, now you engage in the actual subject itself.
That felt like a good place to wrap the conversation. By this point, we had come back to the same central idea. Whether it's goals, fitness, relationships, or studying, Andy kept bringing it back to one practical idea. How does this connect to what you truly value? Thanks, Andy, for coming on. It was great speaking to you.
Yeah, it was cool. It's you had like a unique way of going about this, which was fun to kind of do. So I liked talking to the people in the hats. It gave me interesting post studies to talk to. I haven't done that before. So It was fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Likewise. All right. Cool.